What is it like being a Jamaican in Mexico? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today in Jamaicans to the World, I talk to Turner and Teresa, two Jamaicans living in Mexico. Turner and Teresa, welcome. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Thank
I'm
you.
good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right, great. So, Teresa, love the Akis, love the representing, So, I'm going to ask you, Turner, the first question, and I will get to you, Teresa. The same question
Yes.
is which part of Jamaica you come from? And also, if you went to school, what was the school you're representing?
Right. So maybe, I don't know about Teresa, I might be the first person on this show who says they're not from Kingston.
What?
Because every time I watch it, I'm from Kingston, I'm from Kingston. Anyway, so basically, I am what you would call a child of Windrush parents. And if you've been following the news, you will know that Windrush is to do with a lot of the Jamaicans and Caribbean people that moved to the UK in the late 40s and 50s and even into the 60s. So I was actually born in London, but went to Jamaica to live when I was 10 years old. So I did go to school in Jamaica. I went to school in Spanish Town and the famous Carme Akigoa Linstead Market.
Oh, Linstead High.
So I lived in Linstead for my childhood days. And I also lived in Ocho during my working life as, so my professional life was in Ocho. My school life was in Linstead. Went to school in Spanish Town, so I have a bit of both.
All right. I think it's the first time Linstead has been represented here.
Yes,
So big up Linstead.
Absolutely.
So Teresa, how about you?
Wow. I am from Kingston, Riverton to be specific, Riverton Meadows. And the school I'm representing is Camperdown High School.
All right. Camperdown, well
Yeah.
represented today.
Yes.
So next question is, how did you end up in Mexico? So I'm going to again start with you, Turner. How did you end up in Mexico?
Well, I wasn't supposed to be in Mexico. It's a huge, huge mistake. I actually have been an expat in Dubai for 16 years. And as expats do, you have to find your next bolt hole. Where are you going to go afterwards? Where are you going to retire? Where are you going to move to? So for over 10 years, we had Belize on the radar. We fell in love with Belize, never been there before. We just love the vibe, the fact that they speak English. They have a dialect that is very similar to Jamaican patois. So we were head-bent on going to Belize. That was 3 years ago, we decided that we wanted to go and have a look at property and see what it's like. And it was just at the time when there were some changes in the United States. And in order for us to fly from Dubai to the US, because we are British passport holders, we have to get what we call an ESTA. When we applied for the ESTA, which is not a visa, it's just some special entry into the US, my husband, who is a scuba diver, was diving in Sudan, which is a sanctioned country. And you're not allowed to enter the US if you've been to a sanctioned country. So we thought, let's find another way to get to Belize without going through the US. So we decided that we'd fly to London. From London, we would go to Mexico and drive from Mexico to Belize. That's how we discovered Tulum. We went to Belize and spent like a couple of days, came back and said, that's it. We're gonna go to Tulum. And in 3 years, we made full circle,
Wow.
sold our house, built a house in Mexico, and here we are.
Amazing. And Tulum, right?
Tulum.
Tulum. Okay.
Tulum.
Tulum, it's on the Caribbean side. That's one thing I know, right?
Yes. And it reminded me of Ocho Rios. There were so much elements of Tulum that made me feel like part Bali, part Ocho Rios.
Wow.
Excellent. So Teresa, how did you get there?
Wow. Coming to Mexico, for me, I had to choose, I'd apply for jobs all over the world, and it boils down to Hungary and Mexico. I chose Mexico because they had offered a good benefit at the time, as well as they were just 4 hours away from Jamaica. So I chose Mexico. And then after coming here, the contract with the company was for 1 year, and I decided to stay longer, even though I'll be responsible for all the other paperwork. And as a result of that, I've been here 7 years now. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. And you're in Mexico City.
Yes. Initially, when I came, I was in San Luis Potosi, and then I moved to the city. So I've been in the city for about 5 years now. Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
And so I know you have a special thing you do,
Yes.
and you have what they call a casa. Tell me about the restaurant, a home restaurant
Oh
that you
my
do
gosh.
Jamaican food. Yes, yes,
Yes.
I'm going there right away.
Wow. So when I started, I love cooking and sharing with people. And when I was in San Luis, I had sent out an email list inviting my coworkers. Only when they confirm, I'll give them the address. And so they showed up, they enjoyed, and they were like, this can be a business. And I was like, no, no, I'm not going to do this as a business. I'm doing this so you can enjoy a piece of Jamaica, a piece of me. And so that was like in 2016, 15, and I forgot about it. Then I moved to the city, and while walking throughout, where are you from? De donde eres? And I was like, I'm from Jamaica. And people would like, I've never had Jamaican food. But then at the time when I would say, dame su dinero, llega a mi casa, when I look back now, it wasn't the most eloquent way, but I mean, Google Translator, thank you. People people accepted that, that I say, hey, give me your money and show up. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. Before I had it on Meetup, where people would
Mhm.
confirm and then they will show up. So that's how I initially started. And now it's something I do full time. It's the only thing I do, and I love it. I enjoy it.
Oh,
So folks, Teresa has a home restaurant she does on the weekends,
Yes.
and she cooks and takes Jamaica to Mexico City.
Yeah. Yes.
So Turner, tell us a little bit about what you have been doing there in Mexico.
well, it's funny that we're both foodies.
Yes.
It's amazing. So I, just like Teresa, had a corporate life, etc., and I just wasn't in love with what I do anymore. So what I do now is actually a continuation of what I started in Dubai. And being in Mexico, it's maybe just a little tad more complicated in terms of like getting yourself super established by having a full-on business per se. So what I do, I offer Airbnb experiences whereby I do a vegan experience. So I focus on vegan brunches, and they're all plant-based.
Nice.
And I have elements of Jamaica that I throw in. For instance, I make vegan cream cheese, but I make it spicy with jerk seasoning.
Oh, nice.
I see a
And-
collaboration coming.
And I make Mexicans are very much into Jamaica, which is actually what we call sorrel in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually use my Jamaican recipe as a welcome drink.
Nice. Nice.
And I have lots of Mexican friends, and all the expats that I know, it's a signature thing that I do. I have 2 to 3 bottles of sorrel in my fridge all the time. And I'm telling you, everybody, German, Mexican, what have you, when they drink it, they don't know what to expect. When they drink it, you see this shock on their face. They say, how can this drink? My neighbor calls it the red juice. He says, do you have any more of the red juice?
Lovely. Lovely.
It's amazing that we had an article on this on Jamaicans.com where it's called Jamaica, and apparently it used to be, I think it was shipped there. There's a history behind the whole thing, how they gave it that name, But yeah, look at this little piece of Jamaica that is there, and it's a popular drink year
Yeah.
round.
Yes.
Yeah, it's year round because we only have it in Jamaica, as you know, during Christmas time. But for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the different climates in Mexico, it is a 365 days of the year crop. So
Yes.
they have Jamaica water, which is not with alcohol, and it's everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about Mexico now. So I'm going to start with you, Teresa. We're going to talk about the people. Tell me about the people. Tell me, what you like about the people there and so on.
Number one, very friendly, super helpful, even if they don't understand. For me personally, when I just arrived, I had no knowledge of speaking Spanish, and it was a struggle. Even with Google Translator, it was a struggle. And so with people, they were always helpful, very kind. You're like family, basically. And it depends on region as well. You're like family, but it depends on region because you have some region of Mexico when you go, you say Buenos dias, and they will not answer you. But if you're there 7 days a week and they see you on the last day, they're like, "Oh, you live here." So, yeah.
So they know who's in the community.
Yes, yes.
Turner, what's been your experience with the people?
Well, I've had different facets of experiences. You know what it's like. Like, for instance, if you built a house in Jamaica, you know it's going to be like one of the most trialing times that you would ever have. So I've had the experience of, dealing with workers, and as well as just dealing with people from all walks of life. And yeah, I mean, the people in Mexico where I am in Tulum, they are not called Mexicans, they're actually called Mayans. They speak a different language. It's kind of like, even if you try to put something that someone's written to you in Mayan into Google Translator from Spanish to English, it doesn't translate well. So it's a kind of different sort of language. And I think the Mayans in particular are very welcoming. It's just very nice, warm people, And even though we have a language barrier, there's no divide, nothing at all, except the fact that we speak a different language and we have slightly different skin tone.
Yes.
Well, all right. So you open up the door on the skin tone now, and there's a little history there. I learned this a couple years ago, and I don't know if you all have visited any of the areas. Maybe you can mention some of the areas, but I know there is a large, African descendants, Mexicans mix that is there. And so I've heard about cities. I don't know if any of you have visited them. I've come up on, any of that. But I know that because there were slaves brought there. And so they're descendants of slaves in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Any experiences with that, or not yet? Looking to get there.
Yeah, I haven't been. I mean, I've only just been in Tulum since 2018. And literally half of the time was trying to get the house sorted out. And then the next thing you know, COVID came. So, we restrict where we go to. We haven't been out that much. So whilst I kind of know that is the case, I haven't been anywhere where I personally can say to you that, look, this is the influence. But it's amazing because when you look at Mexicans, and for instance, I know Mexico City, the features of Mexicans in Mexico City look more European. And then here in Tulum, it's amazing. The Mayans look very Filipino. Mm-hmm. And I've seen Mayans before where I kind of think, oh, am I in Dubai? These people look like people from the Philippines. And when you ask them, in their mind, there's no connection, but you can tell that there's a whole influence of different races in Mexico.
Definitely.
I see. Teresa, have you met any of the Black Mexicans?
Yes, and I also agree with Ms. Turner as it relates. So if you say, "Hey, here's a little piece of the history, they will deny it. They will deny it. In Guerrero, Oaxaca, and part of Veracruz, going down to Chiapas, there are indigenous community, and as well as you will see a few of the Black Mexicans. For the Black Mexicans, I encountered them in 2019 at school because I was taking Spanish classes, and I tried to communicate with them. I don't know if it's that they don't identify as Black or it's like, why are you talking to me? But they are here in numbers. And I want to say they're not fully incorporated in society, but they do get opportunities like normal Mexicans to go to school and stuff like that. But I think they not fully incorporated. But if you do go out to these places that you see, you will see it. And you will also see it in their art.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to food, which we started with a little bit. I talked a little bit about the Jamaican food and so on. But let's talk a little bit about Mexican food now.
Wow.
And Teresa, what would be that Mexican food you'd say to me if you come to Mexico? And don't tell me tacos, and don't tell me all the little stereotypes that you know. We hear about.
Never.
Tell me what you'd say. Listen, you have to go try this, or here are some things that I would recommend you try. And for me, I'm not going to eat the grasshopper. I hear there's a grasshopper, and I hear I'm not going to touch a grasshopper, and I'm not touching anything that moves.
Oh my gosh! You know what? Grasshopper was the first thing I was going to say to try. But
okay. I might not try it, but somebody else. So I'll leave you alone.
One of the things I love here, and I was taken aback by it, and this, when I hear that Miss Turner's specialty is vegan, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for her. It's nopal. Nopal here in Mexico. In Jamaica, we use it to wash our hair. But in Mexico, I saw it in a salad with corn and chili, and I was like, standing on the corner of the road watching to see what they're going to do with this. They serve it, and it's something that they eat. They have it in salad, they have it in soup. So I would definitely recommend nopal. I love nopal. And Miss Turner, I'm going to give you something you can put on your menu. It's nopal and plantains, because I love both of them together. Right, plantain.
So you can see that you're thinking in Mexican now, because you're saying Napal, and I don't have a clue what Napal is. And you both know what it is, but I have no clue. But obviously, it's something that we have in Jamaica.
Yes.
And so what is Napal?
So it's a cactus. It's a part of the cactus family, and there are different types. There's the one with the ladle, and from that also you get tuna. Oh dear. The tuna is a prickly pear. Yes. The tuna is the prickly pear. And in Jamaica, tuna is the thing you use and wash your hair. And
Aloe vera.
no, it's not the same as aloe vera.
Oh, okay.
It's not the same.
All right. I mean, we have cactus, and I think that description is good. At least now I know the Mexican name. Turner, what would you say is the thing you'd recommend?
Now, it's very difficult for me to recommend a meat eater what to eat in Mexico, because I have not explored, because obviously I don't eat meat. Okay, so maybe you would probably try ceviche. Because ceviche is very, I'm probably what you call a flexitarian. So now and then I will have something slightly with fish, but very limited. So ceviche is actually, and don't get turned off by this, because it is actually raw meat, raw fish. But it's been marinated, and it's like super soft, and it's got so much seasoning on it. So it's not bland. So ceviche, I'm not sure if it's totally Mexican. It might be Peruvian, but it's huge in Mexico.
Yes.
So ceviche, and also as a Jamaican, you know how we love our tamarind juice?
Yes. Well,
Mexicans make the best tamarind juice. when I go to a restaurant, because I don't drink alcohol, I'm like, the tamarind juice. It's just phenomenal. They do a very, very good job with tamarind juice here.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to move away from food because it get me hungry. But I'm going to ask a little bit about music and so on. Do you hear reggae, or what's the dominant music? What, do you hear any reggae first of all, and then also, what's the music scene like? Is there reggae Mexican bands, or what's the music scene like? I'll start with you, Teresa.
Oh, there is, before the pandemic, before the panorama, there was a lot of reggae concerts and reggae shows, but they were like underground. And there are a few Jamaican band players from the Whalers who are here, who live in the city, or they travel a lot between Miami and here. And Mexican, there's a lot of reggae music here. There's a lot of reggae bands.
Okay.
Yes, they love reggae music, and some guests, when they used to enter the house, it would always be a Bob Marley song, "One Love, One Heart." Yes.
Turner, anything to add?
Well, I'm sure you live in Miami, so reggaeton is huge in the Latino world, right?
Yes.
Reggaeton. And reggaeton is basically reggae music sung in Spanish.
Right.
And apparently the history of it is from Panama, when a Black Panamanian started to sing over Shabba Ranks's
Dembo.
yes, exactly. He sang over that song, and that's how reggaeton came about. But it is as a result of reggae. So for instance, when I go to Zumba classes here, it is not unusual. The whole entire class would be a serious Zumba whining reggaeton class. You don't miss. The only difference is that they're singing in Spanish. Other than that, the beat, the rhythm is what we're used to.
Yes.
So I love like and they love music here, like Jamaica. So you go to the supermarket, and I live in a party capital. Tulum is party capital, right?
Yes.
You go to the supermarket, you're shopping, and there is a loudspeaker in the background blasting out reggaeton music.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to some serious questioning now. And the first one is, what do you love the most about where you live in Mexico and Mexicans? What do you love the most? And what do you, two parts of the question, and what do you not like? And we'll start with you, Turner.
For me, what I love is, I left Dubai, which was a very built up, very sophisticated, fast going place. And in Tulum, I love nature. The jungle is everywhere. I am probably 15 minutes away from the ocean. I just love the lifestyle. It's like literally like, in a pandemic, this is probably the worst thing to say, but it's like you're on a vacation every day. That is what it's like in Tulum, because we don't have it's not city life. So there's no high-rise building. There's no huge traffic jams. There's no one's in a rush to do anything. So, yeah. So, I don't know what the rest of Mexico is like yet. And I'm sure there's probably other places like that, but Tulum is so on the map now anyway. It's one of the most Instagrammable holiday destinations. Yeah, so we are very fortunate to be here.
And what do you like the least?
So maybe two things. Having lived somewhere before where it's very sophisticated and digital savvy, where everyone's gotten, there's an app for everything. When we lived in the UAE, you could stay in your house for a whole year and not leave, and you could get everything done. If you're a smoker, you get cigarettes delivered. If you wanted your laundry picked up, there's an app, or at least on WhatsApp. And coming to Tulum, it's like you've gone back 50 years, because everything is just how it was back then. And even though you love it, sometimes you wish, oh, you know, why can't I have just put the money through the ATM machine and make a deposit? Why do I have to go inside the bank? And maybe Mexico City is different, but Tulum is a very young destination. It hasn't been around in terms of modern life and civilization for that long. It's been there as an ancient city, so they had an ancient way of living, and we're still coming out of that. So, you know, they call it first world problems. So that's probably one of my first world problems.
Teresa, how about you? What do you love about living there in Mexico City, and what you least like?
What I love the most about the city is the diverse option of food. Every day, well, before the pandemic, every day is an activity. Every day there is always something, whether going to a concert, a museum, walking on the street and you see a band playing, like every day there is always something. So that was nice, you know, the city being very lively. The thing I don't like the least is, like, you know, we set up an appointment and the time is to be at 9 and you're showing up at 10. No, that's the only thing. Like, the time don't really exist.
It's all of Mexico. It's all.
You are so right.
Yes.
That's
Jamaican time?
No.
Or worse than Jamaican time?
And when you're about to leave and they show up, oh, it's like nothing happened.
Yeah, no message to say I'm running late,
No.
or I'm going to be delayed, but you get there on time, and then suddenly you realize, yeah, the usual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the experience when, you know, you meet someone or you meet people and they learn that you're from Jamaica? What typically is the experience? And you can tell me about one experience if you choose to, because I've heard a multitude. And I know as a traveler, one of the things I realized too is that almost like a red carpet rolls out sometime once you realize you're Jamaican. But what's been your experience there? Turner, I'll start with you.
It's funny. I think because I live in Tulum and it's such a huge expat tourist destination, people don't really have too many preconceived ideas. But what I would say is what people assume, because people make an assumption about you before you say anything. And the assumption is, I'm American. It's just automatic that I am an American. And then if I speak, you can see there's a bit of a drawback because, oh, but you don't sound American. I said, no, I'm not. So, and I can't say I'm Jamaican and I can't say I'm British. So I say I'm British born Jamaican. And then the whole thing comes out and the conversation flows and it leads from one thing to another. Yes. But it's just curiosity. And I've learned over the years, I've tried different ways of saying who I am and where I'm from. And I find that the one that works the best is just to say that, because if not, the conversation goes on for too long, having to explain why you don't sound fully Jamaican, or you're British, but you have a twang, they say.
Wow.
Listen, anything in that British accent just sounds good.
Wow.
Teresa, what's been your experience?
Well, there's so many experience. So when people ask where I'm from and I would answer them, the first thing they want to do is take a picture. If I'm in an Uber and the driver asks where I'm from, I said, mi madre vagina, and then he stops and look around, or he's like, tambien. So most people, when they ask and I say Jamaica, they want to take a picture. They didn't even ask. They take out their phone and ready to, So if I go to a restaurant, and my husband and I were there and they ask, where are you from? Sometimes you don't pay for anything.
Oh! Yeah. The Jamaica passport, man.
Or they separate the bill.
I need to come to Mexico City.
So your husband gets the bill
Or
and you don't.
where are you from? So they take the menu and they ask where are you from, and I would tell them Jamaica. Oh, and they go back and come back with agua de Jamaica.
Mm.
Yes. So yeah. So
If
those
you
are some of the experiences.
if you don't mind me asking, is your husband Mexican?
Yes, he's Mexican.
Okay.
Oh.
So he gets stuck.
Inferno.
I didn't expect that one coming. No. See, preconceived ideas again.
Don't worry, I'll tell you more later.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you two are going to be collaborating, and
I'm coming to Mexico City now. I wanted to have a connection.
Oh
So
my
now, I definitely.
so
Whenever you come. Mi casa es tu casa.
Absolutely.
and you just got to the next thing I was gonna ask, the language in all the years, and I know it sounds like the Google technology or Google Translate really has helped you all, but how has that been for you learning the language? I know, Turner, you've been there 3 years. Have you progressed? What would you say what level you're at right now?
Oh, listen, that's my biggest embarrassment. When I think about, I did Spanish in college at essay writing level, but then never had to use it. And I think being a spoiled expat, living in Dubai for 17 years, where we never ever had to speak Arabic, and come to Tulum, where everything is Google Translate. Anyway, I was supposed to go to Spanish school, and then obviously COVID came and blah, blah, blah. So I find that when I read things, I can kind of make sense of what is written, but speaking it and also making sure that you speak it in the right accent is another thing.
Yes.
But, like going to the supermarket, I had to, because for me, food is a big deal. So ingredients and stuff like that. And if I go to a restaurant, I can pick things off the menu, etc. But, I think I got too sidetracked as well. I think the worst thing you can do when you go to a new country, make learning the language the very first priority. Once you start getting bogged down in having a business and if you work somewhere where it's not required. And then for me as well, I live in what you call an expat enclave, and all my neighbors are English speaking Americans. So we are not as forced to speak Spanish as we should.
I see.
But anyway, I think I'll get there, because the Spanish school here is very good, and expats have become fluent in maybe, one season of going to classes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
good.
Your Spanish is probably better. I think your Spanish would be definitely better than mine.
Who's mine?
Xavier.
No.
Yes.
No. Listen, I did 1 year at JC. No, 2 years of Spanish, first and second form, and I regret not paying attention.
I know.
And so, but I think Teresa, she's probably dreaming in Spanish. I said, you know the language and you're dreaming in the language.
No. Well, I would say that I've been here for 7 years, and 3 years ago when I decided to take 1 year off from my business to focus on learning Spanish. And it did pay off, because I noticed, so I would go to the market all my time here interacting but they make the effort to understand me in my Spanglish. And when I started doing business, like going to the bank, making transaction, things, I would have to schedule for my husband to come with me. And I was like, no, I don't want you to see my money. I don't want you to all up in my business like that. And so after learning Spanish, I do so many things, and I think it also opens up my connection, not just on, I am now considered intertwined in all environments of people in Mexico, because I speak the language not fluently, but enough to communicate and get business done. So I would say I have business language, market language, and street Spanish.
So the one thing I've heard is people say, you speak the language with an accent.
Yes.
So do they pick up on the accent and say, You have an accent there. You're speaking Spanish, but you have an accent. They
Some
do?
some people, yes, some people can do it, and some people you can tell them something different. For example, this morning in Mexico, the chicken, they're yellow, and so I was walking this morning, and I asked the guy to explain to my friend why the chicken is yellow. And so I was talking to him in Spanish, and she was listening, and he could tell that I'm from Jamaica. He said, "Usted es Jamaiquina?" And I was like, "What? How could he tell?" So I didn't want to have another conversation. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Some people can.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can. And for some people, they're like, ¿de dónde eres? And I'm like, Oaxaca, because they have a different accent. So I said, I was like, oh, de Oaxaca, que parte? And then I'm telling you.
You are going to be my guide. Right now, you're going. If I head to Mexico City, you're already thinking, you're talking it, you're already dreaming it. You
yes, yes, yes.
So
Whenever you come to the city, for sure.
so visiting, and I know Mexico is a huge place. You're on the Caribbean side. You're kind of in the center, I would think. Not really the center, but kind of the center with Mexico City. What would you say, where you live or in Mexico is an experience that you'd say, listen, if you visit, you have to experience it. It may be a local custom. I know customs are a little different there. Gift giving is what, in January versus the 25th, because, so things are different. But what would be that one thing you'd say, hey, if you're visiting Mexico or you're visiting the city I'm in, you have to go experience this. And I'm going to start with you, Turner. What would you say, and it could be your personal experience. It could be, I loved this particular experience. The sunset at this particular place is just totally awesome. It could be anything. So, Turner, I'm going to start with you.
Well, funny, because I always think about this, like in Tulum, we have such high footfall of tourism, but all the money made here is from tourism, and there are no all-inclusive hotels here. And I think one of the reasons for it is because there's so much to do. It would be a crime for you to come and stay in an all-inclusive if there was such a thing. So for instance, there's a lot of adventures. One of them, in Jamaica, we tend to call this, because I'm sure we have it in Jamaica, and we refer to it as a sinkhole. Well, in Mexico and on the Yucatan Peninsula, which is part of where you have Quintana Roo and other states, is what we call cenotes. And it's basically a cave filled with water, and it has different colors depending on how deep it is. And when you tend to go there, they tend to be very unspoilt. It's literally, you might have like a diving platform, a deck where you can literally dive off the platform into the cenote. If you're a diver, you can actually go scuba diving in them. Or, you can just go there, and it's like you can be like Tarzan swinging on a rope above a cenote. And it's the most picturesque thing to witness.
Yes.
And some of them are huge, and they're everywhere. Like when you build a house here, one of the things they have to do is an environmental soil test, because any piece of land could surprise you with a cenote below and you don't know, and you cannot build above a cenote.
I see. It's interesting you say that about the land and that survey, because I read some years ago, and I don't know if it's still true, in Mexico City, Teresa, that they're sinking.
Yes, so our apartment is on the edge of the lake. So the city is built on top of the old city from the olden days by the Spaniards. Oh my gosh. So we're on top of
That was like a little story there. I see it like
yes, yes.
Here. And I'm sorry to digress. I just know that they said the rate of where the city is sinking is one of the fastest rates in the world. And that's the only reason I brought it up, because I said, oh, the city is sinking. And so Interesting, just an interesting tidbit. But you're going to tell us what would you recommend as an experience or visit, place to visit
In Mexico City?
in Mexico City or in Mexico. You've probably been around. What's that experience? You say, man, I
Let me
love,
start my state. In Mexico City, because I love history and art, the first thing I would recommend is museoanthropology. Then go into architecture. I would say Bellas Artes, because the building is beautiful and also they have beautiful art inside. The cathedral, which is in Zocalo. The reason being for that is because it has been there for years. It's beautiful on the outside, but inside it has a pendulum where you can see how lean the city is going because of the sinkage. So you will see that, as well as part of that church is built with gold. Where else? Coming into the city, food, options of food, and the market. The biggest market in America, Central de Abastos. Listen, the people in the market, they are my family. They're my homies. Anybody that comes to visit me, I always say, look at this magazine. It's called Donde Ir. Select the places of interest to you, but I would always take you to the market and the tianguis.
What's the tianguis now? You remember? No, we're English speakers here. English.
Are you familiar with the tianguis? The tianguis are like they call it farmers market in the US, where people get the farmers or the vendors will get their produce, and different days of the week throughout the city, the entire street will have fresh produce, and people from the neighborhood will come in and purchase.
I see.
Yeah.
So, ladies, and I know this conversation is so great. I mean, I'm learning so much, and you're giving us some great information here. And, I have to wind it down a little bit, but I have another question for you. And this is, you land in Jamaica, you get off the plane. What is the first thing that you are doing? I'm going to start with you, Teresa. What's the first thing you're doing? It could be, I'm going to get me this. I'm going to get me that, eat this, or I'm going to visit this. What's the first thing you're doing?
The first thing I do when I get off the airport in Kingston, I go around the corner at the Jelly Man. I don't know if he's still there. The last time I was there was in 2019. And then I go back up down to Port Royal, the Glorious. Or I go through the police station and just
a long wait. That Glorious sometimes is a long wait sometimes. I hear they're better, but
oh my gosh.
What about you, Turner?
Gosh. I think nowadays, because you can get just about everything that you would miss in Jamaica. Like if I'm in London, I can get Jamaican food if I want to get it.
Right.
My specialty is, and I love desserts.
Okay.
And so things like a nice sweet potato pudding, gizzada. Oh my God. Like if anyone, you can hit me with those. I mean, I'm not so much big into the actual, as I say, food.
Right.
But when it come on to
that's fine.
I love plantain tarts.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people all the time, one of the things I have to get is my pepper shrimp. I mean, it's just a must, So, and it's not big food, but it's just one of the things I have to get, my pepper shrimp.
Okay.
Yes.
One piece of advice that you would give to anyone looking to move to Mexico. What's that one piece of advice you'd give to them? And this is my second to last question. I won't keep you all any longer. But what's that one piece of advice? And I'll start with you, Turner.
Well, I mean, and are you referring to anybody or just somebody from Jamaica per se?
Anybody.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what I would say is, you have to remember that you're moving into a new country with a different language, maybe, different cultural norms, and a different work ethic, maybe a different religion. You just have to be very open-minded to accept that things are going to be different in this country. And, you know, whatever you're accustomed to, try and forget about it and leave it behind you, because that's the one thing that will hamper your adjustment. And that doesn't just go for Mexico. You know, whenever you go abroad, anywhere to live or spend an extended period of time, things are going to be so different. And I find a lot of times, like I live with a lot of expats, and you keep hearing people say this, oh, you know, like they make reference to the home country and they want the same thing, same food, same brand, same whatever. Or you, like when I come to Mexico, I don't expect to find Jamaicans, or I don't expect to find English people. I don't expect to, I'm just open.
Right.
And anybody can be my friend. Anybody can be, you know, and I think once you have that mindset, you find that even opportunities will come your way because you have an open mind. You're not closed and restricting yourself.
Excellent advice.
I totally agree with what Turner said. You know, listening to people whenever I call it complaining. I said, you know, you're not leaving. You're leaving your home. You're going to another man's home. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, and you have a good time. That's as simple as, because I've heard so many complaints. Use a different word. I said, listen, you're in a different country with a different climate. It has 4 seasons. It's not home. It's a new place you're going to call home. You're going to adapt to it. You're going to adjust to it, or you're going to complain. You have options. You can either stay or leave.
Exactly.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Excellent words of advice. So, I mean, I've learned so much. I appreciate you guys spending this time with us and telling us your story about how you got to Mexico. And about the people and so on. Now, this is a difficult part, the most difficult part, saying goodbye, because you all are going to know.
We're not saying goodbye.
Teach me.
We don't want to say goodbye.
Well, you're going to teach me how to say goodbye in the most informal way. And I think my Spanish is decent enough, but it sounds like I have an opportunity now to get it in 2 different languages, because they're 2 different regions. You know, Teresa up there in Mexico City, and you down there on the Caribbean side, which you said Mayan. There's a Mayan language. So, Turner, you're up first. How do we say bye bye?
It's simple. It's easy. Adios.
In Mayan. In Mayan.
I honestly, no, you're gonna challenge me now. You know, because you know there's such an overlap here. Because you know one of the things that they say in Mexico a lot, well, in Tulum, the nada, which is like no problem. No problem is literally followed by everything. I go to the store, I say thank you, gracias, de nada.
Yes.
You know, it's like the number one. It's like in Jamaica when we say no problem.
Right.
So, you know, and if you say adios, people will understand you. And they think you're making an effort. I don't know what they say in Mexico City.
Nos vemos or hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Yes, that's another famous one. Hasta luego, adios.
Or so, nos vemos.
What nos vemos? That one is new to me. I know adios. I know, the no problem and the, de nada. So nos Vegas.
Nos, N-O-S, space, okay. Vemos, V-E-M-O-S. So it means we're going to see each other soon.
All right.
Nos or nos vemos pronto. See each other very soon.
I think that is the correct term we need to use, because I definitely want to come down there. And so, listen, guys, again, thank you again for spending the time and telling us your story. So it is Las Vegas.
Nos vemos.
Nos vemos.
Yes.
Nos vemos.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.